Welcome back to Unfiltered Unwound. I'm your host, Gunny T. I'm joined as always by my co-host, my co-conspirator, my cohort, Mr. Eric Shigru. What's up, man?
Hey, man, nothing. Just ready to get this fucking episode on the road. You got my name pretty fucking close, so I'm not even going to comment on that.
You know what? I'm getting there. You know, after 14 years, it ought to be, right?
That's what I would assume, but, you know, you've done weirder shit.
Speaking of weirder shit, I'm glad you said that. This is a perfect segue. Eric, my boy. In the 14 years that we've known each other, you've done some pretty questionable shit. You've done some questionable shit before I knew you. Case in point, you have a whole ass tattoo, a multicolored tattoo, on your tummy in Russian that simply says Pop-Tart.
Yes.
Pretty questionable, bud. So,
what's the question?
The other day, me and my girlfriend Rachel and your wife were all on a merged call. And we were talking about some stuff. And some of that stuff led towards pregnancy. And, you know, to be honest, I'm not really sure how we got there because what she told us defies all reality, defies anything that if you had asked me 10 minutes earlier, if I would have thought that she would have said that, I would have told you you're fucking crazy. But she told us some stuff, and now I feel like I have to ask you about this. So, what the actual fuck, brother? And I can't stress this enough. What the bippity boppity fuck? What?
Are you asking
prepared? What you know? I'm. Do you know what I'm about to ask you?
I have no idea. Like, what my tattoo has to do with pregnancy? I don't know if you're asking.
No, it's not your tattoo. I was just using that as a comparison to some of the questionable shit that you've done. So
I was never pregnant.
No, you weren't. But there was a moment in your life. I'm gonna guess. I don't remember if she said that it was the first pregnancy or the second pregnancy. So either 13 years ago or 10 years ago, when you said to yourself, I want to consume a placenta. What the fuck, bro?
Oh.
Do you care to comment?
This was definitely the first one. And okay. I had read that in some cultures they ate the placenta and that there's supposed to be like a ton of nutrients, whatever. And it was a joke because I was
fucking Amazonian.
I was never going to eat the placenta. And all of that, you know, like the questions and the what if, all of that went away when I heard that motherfucker hit the floor. Because
well, to hear your wife tell it
out, but Jocelyn came out.
As we do.
And we were on the other side of the delivery room while the nurse was, you know, like folding her fucking wrist back, which bothered me a bunch. And, next thing I know, I just hear a fucking loud pop, and I turn around, and the doctor's just like, and there's the placenta, and I was like,
so you just dropped your breakfast, man. How rude of him.
I mean, he dropped it in a plastic tub that he had put on the floor, which I was thankful for, but
just in case you changed your mind, right?
Yeah, cause like I don't remember I had joked about it a bunch. I was like, I'm gonna deep fry this motherfucker. I'm gonna make it extra crispy.
When she told me that, do you know what I pictured in my mind? I pictured you sitting in front of that goddamn placenta and going, this would taste great with fava beans. Fucking Hannibal Lecter, motherfucker.
Oh, nice Chianti.
And to hear your wife tell it, she says that she never said it was a joke. She said what made you stop was that you saw it.
Oh, no, I never saw it. Like, I saw its outline through the side of, like, the plastic tote. Like one of those $5 clear plastic totes you can buy at Walmart.
Yeah.
And I saw it through the side of that, but it was the sound that it made when it hit that I was immediately done. Like, I didn't realize how much a sound could be make something as unappetizing as a placenta. But the sound that it
completely. So that completely changed your outlook on cannibalism. I can't say that I'm upset about that.
I'm not saying that it changed my outlook. Let me shut up. All I'm saying is that if it wasn't immoral and somebody just like dropped like a steak in front of me and was just like, that's people, I'd try it.
You would try people.
I would try people.
You saw the movie Alive too many times, didn't you?
I have no idea what that movie is.
About the Colombian soccer team that crashes in the Andes Mountains and then they have to eat each other to survive?
Never saw it.
You've never seen it? Great movie. Fucked up movie. True story. I thought about that too when, Donna told us that you were ready to dine on her innards.
Well, I mean, technically it wasn't her innards. It's not like it was an organ of hers.
It was an organ of hers. She just grew it for the pregnancy.
Yeah, technically it was an external organ of Jocelyn.
Does that make it better?
I cut it off. And let me tell you something.
You're not helping the case here, brother.
Nobody ever tells you exactly how fibrous a fucking umbilical cord is.
No, they do not.
Like, I thought it was just going to be like a squish and cut, like just, just juicy or whatever. But no. That was like cutting a fucking rope. And like what was fucked up was, like on Jocelyn's leg, there was like a drop of blood that started running down her leg after I cut the fucking umbilical cord. I'm shaking because like, I'm nervous and like baby's just born, so I'm also excited. So I'm very nerve-sighted. And I thought that I cut that bitch's leg, and I was like, she's going to have a scar up her leg for the rest of her life because daddy's an idiot. And not only that, I keep getting reminded just about daily that I spelled her fucking name wrong on her birth certificate.
Was that the nerves too?
Apparently Jocelyn spelled only with a C and never with an S.
Huh.
Which is bullshit. She's just mad that some people think her name was Hosea Lynn.
I mean, it would be unique. I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, there's Jocelyn's out there that it's spelled with S. But apparently we decided it was going to be spelled with a C and I spaced. I don't remember any of that. Maybe I'm an idiot.
This whole time, as long as she's been alive, I thought it was spelled with an S, so I was just as wrong.
But no, it is. Her name is spelled with an S, but apparently, I guess, it's in her head that it was supposed to be spelled with a C. And, my bad. I don't know. Like, she's just lucky I didn't name her Dovakin. But she was a month early for that.
Speaking of motherhood in general, I too have another thing I want to discuss with you. And I don't know if I've discussed this with you before or not. But I feel like every mom and all the moms out there, we love y'all. Nothing but respect and love for y'all. Y'all have one of the toughest jobs in the world. But y'all a little bit crazy. Y'all a little bit Dexter Dahmerish, and I'm going to tell you why. And I want to get your outlook on this, Eric. So, story time. To preface this happened, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 years ago. I was up in North Carolina visiting, and I feel like every person from a specific generation down, and I'd say from Boomer to Gen X to Millennial. I think it stopped at Millennial. But we all have what we call a junk drawer or a stuff drawer, right? Just a drawer with a bunch of random shit in it.
Yeah.
So my mom, we were all in her bedroom, and my mom was asking us to look in the junk drawer for something. And we pull open the junk drawer and remove 5, count them, 5 bags of human fucking teeth. And we look back at my mother and we're like, what the fuck is this? And she's like, oh, that's all your baby teeth. Are you the fucking predator? Are these your trophies? Like, what? Who the fuck does that? And she's like, yeah, I've got locks to y'all's hair. I've got your umbilical cords. Okay, Dahmer, what are we doing?
So,
what the fuck are we doing? Why do moms do that?
my mom kept all of our teeth in a, like, little porcelain, like, treasure chest looking thing on her vanity.
Even worse.
Yeah, right? There was definitely locks of our hair in the junk drawer, which is weird, but every time that I would grow my hair long and then cut it off, my mom always wanted a piece of it. So there was like a rainbow of long hair color in there because I would always like cut my hair long and then shave it into a mohawk and dye it some weird color and then fucking shave everything off.
And she just collected it.
Yes. And then my umbilical cord was actually in my baby book.
Jesus.
Yeah. It was a little bit creepy to run into for the first time. Like,
well, I had talked to my girlfriend about this before we started recording tonight because I wanted to get her outlook on it. And she said that she did keep locks of all the kids' first haircuts, except for a lock of her daughter's because some cunt did the haircut without her permission and kept that lock. I'm not really sure what she meant by that or who she meant by that, but anyway, she kept locks of hair. And she did keep baby teeth until she came to the realization, hey, this is fucking weird.
Right? It's pretty fucking weird.
So she got rid of them. No umbilical cords, nothing like that. But she did say that her mother collected all of her teeth and presented them to her as a gift. It was like, so I have all of my teeth. And I was like, not any less weird, Rachel.
That's going to be $28.
So I wanted to ask you, did Donna do anything like that with y'all's kids? You lied.
We did not keep umbilical cords because that's weird.
Right.
I was just glad to see them fall off the way that they were supposed to. The teeth, we didn't keep any of those. No, we just paid for them.
Wait, what?
Well, you know, like, younger audiences close your ears, but like...
yeah. Well, this show isn't for the younger audiences anyway, so...
Well, my youngest likes to listen.
Oh, okay.
There may be a realization if she listens to this episode that I have to deal with.
Well, you know, I feel like that's on you there, brother. But you did pay for them. Copy that.
Yeah. As far as
y'all would be in the minority as well, because
I think we kept a couple locks of hair, but like we didn't like hold on to them indefinitely. Like they're all gone now.
Okay. Why is that a thing though? Like I don't understand. Did you ever ask your mom?
No, and I'm not going to.
Well, the only answer I ever got was, it was just your little baby teeth. It was your baby teeth. That's, okay.
Just bronze my big
teeth. Some calcium and bone in a bag in your junk drawer.
Right. But no, like, I know when I was young, I was a baby, I had very curly hair, and me and my sister, we would play barbershop, and like she would use like a pair of tongs, and she'd pretend to like cut my hair and stuff, and it was just a game, like I vaguely remember some of those. Yeah, never real scissors. And then one day she wanted to play, and she went through and meticulously combed through my hair and cut every curl out of my head. And my hair has not been curly since.
Oh, wow. Cheap corner store barbershop your shit.
Yeah. So yeah, like, she was just sick of everybody always commenting on how beautiful and curly my hair was, and they never talked about her hair, so she got rid of the problem.
So it was a jealousy thing. I got you.
Yeah.
Older sisters.
In retaliation, I cut all the hair off of her Barbies. And, but in my defense, I honestly thought it would grow back.
How old were you?
3, 4, something like that. Like, very young. Preschool, like, pre-kindergarten, like, at an age where I was allowed to be stupid. And I just didn't know the world.
So like most kids that age, you were destructive, not because you wanted to be, but because you didn't understand.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, speaking of older sisters and being destructive as a kid, so my sisters, and I don't remember when this was, I want to say that I was about 8 or 9 years old when this happened, but they got like the big Barbie dream pool for Christmas one year. And that was their favorite thing in the whole world. And somehow or another, it ended up outside in our sand pile. And I loved the Barbie pool too. I wanted to destroy it. So one day when they weren't around, I grabbed one of my dad's weights and I took my time and I used that weight to smash every bit of that Barbie pool. I couldn't tell you why I did it, just that I just wanted to. I also couldn't tell you why I was so fucking honest afterward, but we're going to get there. So my dad comes home, and my dad was a very, very angry guy. He was a very fly-off-the-handle kind of guy. So I should have been a little wary when he didn't fly off the handle, because my sisters went running to him. They were crying. They were like, Daddy, Douglas messed up our pool. He messed up our pool. And he's like, show me. So they took him outside, and they showed him. And my dad comes back in the house, and in my brain, I was like, uh-oh, I think I'm in trouble. And he goes, hey, buddy, come here. So fucking calm. Red flag number 1. So I walk up to him, and I'm like, yes, sir? And he goes, what's your most favorite toy in the whole wide world? And I was like, oh, my X-Wing Starfighter. And he's like, can you show it to me? And I was like, yeah. And I ran off to my room to go get it. Now, as an adult, I should have told him my least favorite toy. I should have told him the dumbest, stupidest fucking thing that I own. Because as I brought it to him, he picks it up and he goes, oh, that's real nice. And then he drops it to the ground and stomps the bitch to pieces. I learned a very valuable lesson that day. And for years I blamed my sisters for that.
I had a similar experience, but I feel like my mom was a little bit more manipulative about it.
Oh, shit.
So my grandfather had bought me a die-cast metal replica of the B-52 bomber that he was a tail gunner in the Korean conflict. It was super cool. Like, the box had his dog tags on the front of it. There was a book in there all about the plane and being in it that was written by him. There were pictures of that plane with like my grandmother and my dad and my aunt and uncle, you know, standing underneath it because it's the B-52 Diamond Lil that's display in front of the Air Force Academy in Colorado.
Shit.
And my mom was like, "Hey, that's really cool." She was like, "Can we put it on top of the VCR and like display it?" And I was like, "Hell yeah," because I didn't have anywhere in my room to put it. And I was like, because I loved the thing. I thought it was cool as hell. Like, I wasn't going to play with it. I knew that it wasn't a toy. Well, then that night, after we put it on the little stand and had it sitting up there, my mom decided that she was going to get angry at the fucking VCR and slap it, knocking this fucking airplane into the floor, and all of the fucking bombs and everything that was attached to the wings broke off.
Oh.
Never did recover all that. And she was just like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. It shouldn't have been on top of the VCR, should it?"
Wow. She gaslit the fuck out of you.
Right. Like, and I don't know if it was a jealousy thing because, like, you know, her parents hadn't given me anything that was, like, you know, as cool. And it wasn't like, I never pitted my grandparents against each other or, like, who was better because they both had their pros and cons. Like, her parents were insanely good people. They were very hospitable. They were very affectionate. They were, you know, we knew that they loved us. And then, like, my dad's parents, my grandmother, you know, she showered us with love, but my grandfather, he wasn't an emotional person, you know, like he was very strict, very stern. And, I think that in my entire life, he's told me he loved me like a handful of fucking times. Even growing up, if I called him on the phone and tried to tell him that I loved him when I was getting off the phone, he would just say, "Uh-huh," and hang up the phone. Like, but that's grandpa, you know, like, I mean, he's seen some shit. He was in a war.
You know, it's all coming together, Eric. Now I think I understand why you have Pop-Tart on your tummy.
Look, the story behind the Pop-Tart, it's a very logical story. It's nothing crazy. But, so Trevor Stratt, formerly the vocalist for the Black Dahlia Murder, I was very into him as a vocalist. Like, he was one of my favorites. He has heartburn tattooed across his stomach, which I thought was funny. And I was like, I want to do something similar. And I was like, I love Pop-Tarts. I've always loved Pop-Tarts. Let's get Pop-Tart tattooed across my stomach. And,
in Russian.
Because nobody does tattoos in the Cyrillic alphabet.
That's
like,
fair.
You see people that have, like, you know, kanji, and they have, like, Greek and other languages, but you never see tattoos in Russian. And the Cyrillic alphabet is very phonetically similar to the American alphabet, or the English alphabet.
Right.
So, like, you can, even in the Cyrillic alphabet, phonetically, it still says Pop-Tart. Now, you know, you can't go to Russia and say Pop-Tart and it means the same thing. It does, pretty sure they have
they're called struggle biscuits.
they
they don't have Pop-Tarts there.
But yeah, like I did my research, and made sure that was, what it was. I was in Panama City after I got it done, and, I was in the elevator of the condo, complex that we were staying at, and, it was just me and, one of the cleaning ladies, in there, and she looked over at me and she giggled and she said Pop-Tart. And I was like, yes.
It all came together.
And, but when I went to go get my vasectomy, my doctor was actually, he was Russian. I remember when he first saw it, he looked at it, and he looked at me, or he looked me in the eye, and he was like, do you know what that says? And I said, yes, it says Pop-Tart. And he giggled, and he said, no, it doesn't. And I was like, don't do that. I was like, I know what it says. All right, like,
it says Candy Mountain, Charlie.
but it's also it's in multiple colors because it was supposed to like. The thought process was more that each letter was going to like symbolize a different flavor, and my tattoo artist at the time, I think towards the end of it when he was coloring them in, he was like, I'm tired. He's like, I'm just going to make them solid colors.
How about a frog?
Yeah. I mean, it was like 2 a.m. before we were done. Like, it took him like 6 hours to do the tattoo, which, I want to say that he was still an apprentice at the time. And I was essentially one of his many, scratch papers. Like, if he wanted to do a tattoo, I was just like, hey man, I got plenty of skin. Just tattoo me up. And I think that was the first one that I was actually going to pay for. And I told him that since it was, I was coming in late, I think we agreed I was like going to give him like $150. And I think by the end of it, he had actually talked himself all the way down to it just being free. And, I still put the money, I gave him the money as a tip, but I was like, but still, I love it. And then some woman went and got it tattooed on her lower back, which makes me mad because, that's my tattoo.
Was it somebody that you knew?
No, it was in, I found it in another tattoo shop in like one of the tattoo artist's albums. I was going through the tattoo that he had done and I saw it on somebody's lower back and I was like, who the fuck?
Is that your first tattoo?
No, that was, I think it was actually my last tattoo that I've gotten. No, I think it was like number 4, number 5. I think I have 6.
My first tattoo was supposed to be my best tattoo in my martial arts school. It's a rite of passage in the Jade Tiger School of Self-Defense to get a Jade Tiger tattooed on your body once you make black belt. So I went to Twisted Needles and I got this done by TC. I don't know if you know Twisted Needles out in Moulton. I don't even know if they're still there. And I don't know if you know who TC was, but honestly, looking back, very, very kind of crackheadish, very kind of off the beaten path kind of tattoo place. Probably not the best place for my very first tattoo. But at the time, when he did the outline for it, I was super pleased with it. I thought that it was really cool. And then he colored it in, and I thought that was cool too. First tattoo excitement and all that until somebody asked me why my tattoo said Tiger Force on it, but it looked like an alligator. And then I was no longer pleased with my tattoo. And this has been needed to be covered up for probably the last 20 years.
Oh my God.
I can't even enjoy it now because every time I fucking look at it, all I see is an alligator. I do not see a tiger anymore.
Well, my first tattoo is a rose with 2 mice looking up at it.
It's at the small of your back, isn't it?
It's on my hip.
Okay, hell yeah.
And I had gotten that done with the girlfriend that I had at the time. She wanted matching tattoos, and I was like, bet for my first one. So she picked the placement, and she picked what it was, and that's what we got. She has since covered hers up. So I'm the only one that has it. And I'm cool with that. That's my tattoo.
Yeah, original, you know?
Yeah.
No proof that she ever had it. I got you.
Right. Right.
Let me ask you a question, Eric.
All right.
This is going to be less of a question, more of a would you rather. Would you rather have to fight 10 fucking chickens every time you went into a grocery store to buy groceries? Or would you rather fight one ostrich every time you had to renew your driver's license for the rest of your life? Which would you rather?
I'm going to go with the ostrich.
Why the ostrich?
One ostrich every 4 years?
Yeah.
I go to the grocery store quite a lot. Like sometimes 5 days a week I'm at the grocery store. That would mean I'd have, like, I mean, they didn't call me Chicken Chaser and Fable for nothing. I'll boot the chicken.
But you do realize that an ostrich is basically a fucking 10-foot goddamn chicken on steroids that can run flat out about 45 fucking miles an hour, right?
Yeah, I also know that you can get on their back and ride them, and that they are 30% neck, which can be strangled.
You got to get a hold of that fucking neck first. What do you think they're going to be doing with those big-ass powerful legs?
Running.
Yeah, after you, motherfucker.
But they attack with their heads.
You know, that's fair.
Like, you know, you throw that head at me, and I'm going to grab that neck. And I also know that avian bones are very porous, and they break easily. I'm going to snap the neck. And, like, if I'm going to do that in the courthouse...
physical strength to snap the neck of an ostrich.
Yes.
Why wouldn't you want to fight the chickens instead?
Because that's a lot of fucking chickens. And sometimes I get off work, and I got to go to the grocery store before I get home, and maybe I'm looking super nice that day, and I don't want to fight the fucking chickens. Maybe I think of the people in my hometown talking shit about me, because every time I walk into Kroger, there's a gang of fucking chickens waiting on me. I mean, how many times do I have to fight these chickens before Kroger says you're not allowed in our store anymore?
You know, I feel like there would be questions why this one gang of chickens just follows you around to every fucking grocery store.
And then the other side of that is that I've got home field advantage with this fucking ostrich, right? Because I renew my license online, so I get to choose the time and place of this fight every time.
Okay, but here's the thing with the chickens, okay? You go into a grocery store and 10 fucking chickens start attacking you. I feel like people would help. You think anybody's gonna fucking help you if you're wrestling with a goddamn ostrich?
If I'm at the courthouse, yes. I'm pretty sure the security guards are gonna get involved. And they've got guns.
Or they might just stand there and video record the whole thing and watch you get your ass beat by a fucking 10-foot chicken.
Fuck yeah. Because I think after 4 or 5 times, I'm going to get pretty fucking good at it. And I'm going to go viral for whooping the shit out of this ostrich.
Okay, fair enough. Now, let's get to the meat of this podcast, shall we? Let's really, really piss your wife off. Mr. Eric Shigaraki, tell me about the fucking aliens in the ocean. Tell me about the conspiracy. Tell me, sir, about Project Bluebeam.
So, Project Bluebeam is a conspiracy theory that was first introduced by Sergei Monast. He was the Canadian dude, right? And I'm probably going to fuck all this up because he may have been some kind of doctor of something.
You don't have to follow them up. Tell me in your own words.
So, I may have had the date wrong when we spoke of this earlier. So he originally brought up this idea that the world or some organization, whether it be NASA, the United States government, whatever, some organization was going to get together and they're going to essentially fake an alien invasion. That this alien race is coming to the planet Earth and they're coming to the Earth to wipe out all of humanity and take over the planet. And they're going to use this fake attack as a way to unite all of the governments in the world under one world government. And once that is established, they are going to criminalize Abrahamic religions such as Islam, Judaism, and Christianity so that they can create a new religion of man. And the idea is that the figurehead of this religion will be the Antichrist. Now, there's a lot of speculation around this conspiracy theory because there's a lot of talk that they've tried to do this several times throughout, like the 20th century. Like the European Union was one of the first scares because they took all of those countries of Europe and all of their individual federal governments and merged them into one government. And then we tried to do the same thing in North America, which was super hush-hush, where we were going to make, Canada, the United States, and Mexico essentially like Europe. Open borders, we were all one nation under the North American Union. The way that they established this in England or in Europe was they took all the different nations' money and converted everything to the euro. So instead of having Deutschmarks and francs and pounds, everybody uses the euro in Europe. In North America, they introduced the Amero into the stock market, and we're going to sit there and let it grow in value until it outvalued the U.S. dollar, and then, phase out the Canadian dollar, the U.S. dollar, and the peso. And then all three of our countries were going to all use the Amero as their sole currency. Now, these steps were going to have to all be successful for it to move on to the next group of countries, which is probably going to be South America or Asia. But since the Amero actually failed in the stock market, the North American Union was not founded. Now, everybody was freaking out because they had another congressional hearing where they were asking about if there were aliens and UAPs in and around the ocean.
Right.
This was all brought up like 3 or 4 years ago when Project Blue Book was confirmed. Tom DeLonge of Blink-182 actually worked directly with the naval officer that disclosed all this information to Congress. Like, none of the information that they gave in this recent congressional hearing was any different than what we had already been told.
Confirm it then, though.
Yeah, they've confirmed that. So
confirmed it back then as well?
Yes. Project Blue Book was all the investigation of all of these UAPs and UFOs, which are the same thing now, which is what I thought was really funny about this current congressional hearing. They kept asking them about UAPs, and then they would ask them the same thing about a UFO, because they didn't even realize that UAPs and UFOs are the same thing. Because a UAP is an unidentified aerial phenomenon, and a UFO is an unidentified flying object. UAP is just the new word for or the new abbreviation for UFO.
That's so Sigma.
No cap.
Ohio.
But the fact that there's, the idea that there's aliens living in the ocean, I mean, dude, honestly, how would we know? We don't. We have no idea. They have seen a lot of these phenomenon, like these, what they are calling objects, like go under the surface and then come back.
So you're saying that you're not drinking the Kool-Aid. You think that this is all a smokescreen.
Yeah, I 100% believe that it's a distraction. Like They're literally...
Distraction from what?
It beats me. Whatever they're distracting us from, they're doing a really good job of it because, I don't know. I mean, in all honesty, maybe it's because the Republicans are taking the majority of the Senate, House, and they're going to be in the White House. The fact is that, as soon as it came out that Trump won the election, Iran is trying to back out of being involved in the conflict between Palestine and Israel. Both leaders of Palestine and Israel are agreeing to come to a peace agreement, and the war in Ukraine with Russia, they're even coming in and saying, "Hey, we actually want to come to a stop here too." And I don't know if that's coincidental or if that's just maybe it was fabricated too. Maybe all of these wars were fabricated as a way of saying, the Democrats are weak. Let's bring the Republicans in, and then these countries decide to back out. I don't know. Everything's a distraction. I know that...
You don't believe that there are aliens in the ocean?
As far as aliens in the ocean, I mean, okay, so I can neither confirm nor deny that, and my opinion of it is maybe. It's likely. I mean, why wouldn't there be? It's not like we would know. There's a couple of things surrounding that. What was it called? I can't remember the name for it, but there was this theory that we haven't even hit the bottom of the ocean with sonar, because there's this layer of essentially like fish and debris that are blocking sonar waves from actually getting to the bottom of the ocean.
I saw the Meg too.
But I was watching a movie or a documentary like a few months ago, and it was talking about there's this one company that is currently combing the entire ocean and mapping the entire ocean floor with sonar. Like they're going, east to west and then turning around and going west to east and just going back and forth all the way down all the oceans until they've mapped the entire ocean floor. And from what I remember, that's supposed to be done in the next couple of years to where they can actually release the ocean floor map. But kind of like how we discussed earlier, a spaceship can't be super dense because, which with our technology, they can't be, because the ability for it to, get off of the face of the planet and break free of our atmosphere, it has to be light enough that we can develop thrusters to push it through that. Also, there's no atmosphere in space, so the only atmospheric pressure that we have to design these for is, our own. And as, we know, the farther down you go in the ocean, the stronger the pressure is.
Yeah.
So if you're building a spaceship that's, only really designed to be, and let's say that our atmospheric pressure on the ground is a factor of 1. So that's as strong as you need your hull to be, is to be able to withstand an atmosphere of 1, maybe 1.5. Just because the amount of G's that you're going through trying to get out of the atmosphere. But once you're in space or on the moon or on the surface of Mars, the atmospheric pressure is less than that of Earth. But you start going down into the ocean and it gets exponentially higher. Now, these aliens that live in the ocean, one, are they really aliens, or have they always been there?
Huh.
The lost city of Atlantis, whether it's fictional, like a work of fiction or nonfiction, we don't know. We don't have any real proof. But we have found a lot of structures, non-naturally made structures underwater where they shouldn't be. How do they get there?
Well, there's theories on that too, as far as oceans being higher now than they were continental shifts,
Yes.
islands disappearing into the ocean, just like the theory of Atlantis. There are theories behind that, but no facts that I'm aware of.
Right. Well, I mean, the theory of Pangea, when there was only one landmass, there's a lot of science that backs up that theory, but none of us were actually there. We don't know. To sit there and have us say that there are not intelligent species that are from Earth that live in the bottom of the ocean, we don't know. We've never been down there.
I mean, we've been pretty deep. We've been all the way down to the Challenger deep.
But yeah, but we have never been. What do they say? We have explored. We have discovered
5%
more
of the ocean
space than of our own ocean.
Yeah, that's fair. But circling back to the aliens, which your theory about them having always been there is interesting. That's probably going to keep me up tonight. But to think that, so us, humans as a species, like you said, all the science behind space travel, building ships to get into space, that's all well and good, and what you're saying is true. But a hyper-advanced civilization from space may, and who knows, let's play a little bit with interdimensional. What if they're interdimensional beings, Highly advanced civilization from space are interdimensional beings that understand science a different way that we do. Like they've broken laws that we don't know can be broken. In our understanding, some of these things aren't possible, but who's to say that they're not in an alien species understanding? Does that make sense?
No, I do. I believe that, it could be a species that is far more advanced than us, that, they don't need to be on the surface. Maybe what they need from this planet is on the ocean floor, and that was where they settled. I mean, I don't know. I firmly believe that there's got to be something else out there. It's ridiculous to think that we're the only ones.
It is. It's arrogant to think that we're the only life forms in the entire universe, as big as it is. It's believed that the universe is still expanding.
Well, we think that humans are so fucking important, and we're not. We are insignificant. We are 100% replaceable. We're essentially parasites. We move into an area, we deplete it of its resources, and then we move on.
All right, Smith.
I'm just even then, who's to say that, we're from this fucking planet?
I've thought about that too, because I have seen documentaries where I was really at one point in time interested in mounds, crop circles, things like that. And I was watching a documentary once that has a group of mounds that are in this weird design, and I want to say that they're in Britain. And I want to say it was a Hubble Space Telescope, they found almost an identical structure or mounds built the same way and everything on the surface of Mars. Explain that.
No,
what if we're not even from here, and that's why humans are so fucking destructive to the environment,
Yeah, maybe Mars was our home. And when we realized that we fucked that up, we sent, a bunch of babies to fucking Earth. And, just without any knowledge of what we had, hoping that we would have a different outcome.
That's an interesting thought.
I mean, because, if you, it doesn't matter what creation story you believe in, right? There were always humans here on Earth. No, I fully believe in evolution. So some of this is kind of weird to me, but also say we came from a different planet definitely doesn't mean that, we were Homo sapiens sapiens, before we came here. We could have been a completely different species of being, and whatever, off the point. But, like, if
you're
you
definitely a fucking Martian. I mean,
like, but if you read the Bible, right? Like, so I mean, like most of us were raised on the Bible.
Yeah.
And the Genesis story, you know, Adam and Eve were the first humans, right? And then they had 2 sons, and then they had wives. The hell did those wives come from? Right? Like there were humans living outside of the Garden of Eden when the Garden of Eden was built. Now, who's to say that, you know, like God wasn't just one of these fucking humans that was like, I can make one of these. And he made one out of mud and dust, and it was, you know, fallible and unable to think critically because it was stupid and didn't have a brain.
If I only had a brain.
Until, you know, God's biggest enemy showed up and was like, hey, Eve, if you eat this, you can think for yourself. And apparently that was a bad thing.
Because now women have ugly things like opinions and feelings. Thoughts of their own.
Right. And now all humans can have free will and can do whatever the hell they want. And, like, apparently that was enough to equal banishment from this supposed paradise where the only 2 people there were naked.
You know, I just want to point out the fact that before shooting this podcast began, in one podcast tonight, we've covered a little bit of 2 subjects that we said we would never mention in the podcast. Bleep bloop, Eric achievement. We're also going to have to name segments like this, like conspiracy theories and science fiction with Gunny and Eric.
Oh, I mean, like, it's 100%, you know, my opinion. And, like, I'm always up to have my opinion challenged because I know that opinion is not based on fact. It is based on, you know, my own research and the jumps and conclusions that I have made on my own. I can't tell you how many times that I have gone into an argument and been so confident that I was correct and then walked away learning something. And, like, I think that that's something that everybody needs to learn how to do.
Absolutely.
Like, I hate the idea, or I hate the fact that you see people get into arguments on Facebook and anywhere on the internet, any forum, and instead of actually listening to what is being offered to them, like, they'll just, you know, fucking stand their ground. Like, I know I'm absolutely right, even though I have nothing to back it up. And, like, I can't tell you how many times I have been outright fucking wrong publicly on the internet, and in those situations, I admit it, because I feel like that's what people should fucking do. Like, if I'm wrong and you prove me wrong, and you have facts to back that shit up, I'm going to apologize for being a dickhead and for arguing, and I'm going to tell you, hey, like, thank you for informing me of this. And I've had to do that so many times. And you know what that's done to me? Nothing. You know, like, I'm still breathing. I don't hate myself. I still have the same friends. My wife didn't leave me because I lost a Facebook argument. My kids still like me, I think. Like, everybody's still worried about losing fucking arguments on the internet like it's gonna, like, destroy their fucking lives. Like, dude, just have some humility. Realize you're not fucking perfect.
That's because they're pussies, and they should blame their parents for that.
And like, I disagree with you, because I don't think it's the parents' fault. Because just like we said, like, you can have 2 kids that have the same parents and the same upbringing and end up on completely separate paths.
That's fair.
Like, and I mean, everybody wants to blame the parents for everything that these people do, and it's like,
It's not. It's not the parents.
I agree with you, and I disagreed with you a little bit earlier when we had this discussion. I agree that, you know, it's not the parents at a certain point, because every human being eventually learns wrong from right. But I do believe that the parents are who set them on the path. You know, who else do we have to look up to? You know, who else do we have to learn from when we're kids, other than our parents or our older siblings, our aunts and uncles, you know, the adults or the older people in our lives. But
yeah, but how much do we take from those people to create who we become?
I guess that's debatable.
Are you your parents?
No, absolutely not.
Because you got stuff from other people to create Gunny.
Yeah.
It wasn't just your parents. And it wasn't just the people that your parents brought you around. I mean, like, you can see kids that grew up in, like, gang environments grow up and become most of the time they become social workers, and their whole fucking goal is to keep kids out of those environments.
My martial arts instructor, Tyrone, is a good example of that.
Right. I mean, look at me and my sister. My sister is a drug addict and super manipulative, and I'm not. I drink alcohol very rarely, and I smoke cigarettes, and that's the worst thing that I fucking do. I was introduced to a lot of that lifestyle at a young age because of the people that my parents hung out with. And, you know, for a while in my life, I was a user, but it never became who I was. And when it came time to stop fucking doing that shit, I stopped fucking doing it. But I'm not my fucking parents, not even fucking slightly. I think that it's got a lot to do with the type of people that you surround yourself with when, you know, you're becoming a human being and you're becoming who you're going to be. Like, I mean, grew up listening to Marilyn Manson all the time and playing violent video games, and unfortunately I also listened to a lot of ICP. Which I'm honest about, but I do regret how much I listened to ICP growing up because it wasn't a lot.
Probably you were a juggalo. Quit playing.
I was a juggalo. I refused to paint my fucking face though because I thought that shit was stupid. I did have a friend that would paint his face, and he was like, let's go walk around the neighborhood. And I was like, I'm not going anywhere with you. But I didn't grow up to be violent. I didn't grow up to be a fucking criminal. I didn't grow up to be, like, disrespectful and, like, all that shit. Like, I definitely challenged authority quite often, especially as like a teen and a teenager. Like in school, like I told you, if I got written up, I forced the fucking vice principal to tell me exactly what rule I broke and how what I did broke that rule. And there were several times that I walked out of the office without being written up because he couldn't prove that I had did anything wrong. Because being, even in school, suspicion of breaking a rule is not breaking a fucking rule.
You've got to be the only kid that I've ever heard of actually reading the bylaws of the fucking school.
You were damn straight I read that fucking code of conduct because I wasn't I was a weird kid. All right? I loved
weird guy, weird guy.
I loved anarchy. I loved Marilyn Manson. I loved hard, heavy metal. I wore black all the time. I hung out with the gothic kids. I researched every religion that I could find information on. I was a target for administrators. They would always look for something that I was doing wrong.
So what I'm hearing is that you were trying really, really hard to thrash the emo girls.
Yeah. Yeah. But I remember I had written down some poems that were, you know, I got them out of a spell book. So they were technically Wiccan spells. But I had written them down in a notebook. And, like, I remember I had some free time in a class, And I was sitting there and I was like reading over them, because, you know, when studying Wicca, I was, you know, pseudo practicing because, hey, you know, like, what if this shit's real? You know, like, and that's going to be my fucking religion. So yeah, like, I memorized spells and tried to cast spells, and when they didn't work over a period of time, I was like, you know what, this is all bullshit. I'm gonna move on to the next one. And some girl turned around and she was looking at what I was doing, and she asked me what it was, and I told her, I was like, look, I got these they're poems out of the spell book that I was reading. And she ran and told the teacher because she was terrified for her fucking life because I was reading a rain spell.
You're a wizard, Harry.
I remember they pulled me into the office and they threatened me with expulsion, tried to say that I was worshiping the devil openly in the middle of class. They told my
terrible
mom,
thing in the Bible Belt.
yeah. They told my mom that I was the leader of a cult in the school. Mind you, I had 2 friends.
I mean, that's all you need to start a cult. That's where it starts.
Nobody else liked me. Like, everybody else in the school hated me. This cult was built around the movie American History X.
Are you serious?
This is, like, I'm telling, like, they would pull whatever they had out of their ass and try to throw something at me and see what would fucking stick. And I remember when they were telling my mom all this, she started fucking laughing.
Reasonable response.
Right. And when they told her that it was that movie, my mom stopped the vice principal, who is now like the director of student safety or something for that school district. She asked him, she was like, have you ever watched that movie? And he said, he told her no, that another student's mom had found it in his kid's room, and she put it in, and she watched like the first 5 minutes of it, got scared, and brought it to the school. So then he started watching it, and it got about that far into the movie and realized that it wasn't a movie for kids. It's rated R. It's not a movie for fucking kids. She told him that to watch that movie. And she said, if you're not crying at the end of this movie, then there's something wrong with you. Which I agree, because that movie still makes me fucking cry at the very end, and I'm not going to spoil it because I know that movie's old as fuck. But
yeah, I was going to say, they're only about 40 years old, but, you know, spoiler alert.
As a matter of fact, that's literally what I was watching right before we started recording.
Oh, wow.
Like, there was some old motherfucker in there, and I don't know who the hell he is, but it was just this old man, and he was the one that was pushing for me to be expelled over what I had. Like, they had taken my notebook and literally, like, Xeroxed every page of my civics notebook because of this one sheet that was in there. They told me, they were like, you know, because of what you have right here, we have the grounds to expel you. You know, of course, intimidated the fuck out of me. But, my mom was like, no, you don't. And, she was like, is it true that you guys hold a club before school for Christian students? And he was like, yes, but it's not teacher-led. And she was like, so you allow Christian material in your school openly? And he was like, well, yeah, but it's before school. And she was like, no. You allow other religious material in your school with absolutely no issues, but you want to expel my son for this. And then they immediately started backtracking. They were like, well, we're not actually going to expel him. We wanted to get to the root of everything. And it was like this total backpedal shit. But if that authority had not been challenged, they would have gotten away with expelling me in school.
Huh.
But, like, I mean, you can go into any public school in this country right now wearing a shirt that has, you know, like Christian scripture on it, and no one bats a fucking eye. But if I walked into a school with a shirt that had, like, the 7 tenets of Satanism, I'd be asked to leave.
Depends on where you were at, but yeah, I agree.
I mean, like, obviously I can't account for that because I've only been to school in the Bible Belt. But I know in the Bible Belt, yeah, if you go to school and you've got you got a cross on your shirt, you're good to go. You got a pentagram on your shirt, you better change.
We don't want that damn devil shit in these fucking schools.
That's I wish that I had known that, like in school, that the upside down cross was the cross of St. Peter. Because I would have worn shirts to school with that fucking cross on it. Just to educate the authority in those schools that they don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
That's what we're calling it, huh? Educate.
Yes.
We call that stirring the pot, Eric.
Well, I mean, a lot of people don't know that the upside down cross didn't have still has nothing to do with the devil, and it was only the movie The Exorcist was the first time it was used as a sign of the devil. And that was just because they were like, what can we do with this to make it seem like, unholy? And they were like, well, flip it upside down because that's the opposite of what it's supposed to be. That literally symbolizes St. Peter because he was fucking crucified upside down at his request.
I didn't know that. So I learned something new today.
But, it is what it is. I did go on a little bit of a there.
Yeah, you did. I feel like we're running a little short on time. But I learned something, and hopefully our viewers did too, or our listeners, depending on what platform you are listening to this on.
And if I'm wrong about anything, fucking tell us. Don't be afraid.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to fight.
Hit us up in the comments. Eric loves to debate. I like to debate, but I don't love it as much as he does. But, do you have any last words for the listeners?
Anarchy is just another form of government. There's no chaos without order. There's no order without chaos. Don't waste your life.
Well, you heard it here, guys. Right here from the witch's mouth, Mr. Eric Shigaraki. So if you guys enjoyed episode 2, like and subscribe, share it with your friends, help us blow up so we can bring you more content like this. And always remember, airline tickets cost money, but you know what's free? Not being a piece of shit. We'll see you guys next time.